Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Track. I got to warn y'all, I'm going to nerd out so hard in this interview because there's just things that I want to talk about that are deeply seated inside me. And when it comes to music and this guy, I hope you're ready to answer some questions, Blake, because I got a bunch coming. Blake Redferrin joins me now on Beyond the Track. This is going to be a cool one, man. First off, thanks for doing it.
Thank y'all for thinking of me.
Yeah, well, let's just start with, what are you doing right now? A life of a musician, man. Like, what are you doing right now?
So right now, it's a little different than traditional. I kind of got into the depths of this when quarantine started. So I've just been writing at home every day. I'm on Zoom with all my people I collaborate with and just crafting songs and trying to get a little bit better at that. And in the process of recording a lot of new music. I got a record deal with Round Here Records and Warner Music. So that's pretty exciting. We've been stacking these songs up for a while, and now now that the world's opening up and we can tour again, we're kind of starting to let these songs go so that we can get out and play them. And man, really, I've kind of had all my eggs in that basket. I've just been trying to get better at music and better shape, better mental health, everything. Just try to get a little better with the time we've all had.
Well, you mentioned the time we've had. It's been just difficult for everybody, but everyone's trying to find positives in that time. Have you found a way to make it somewhat positive? Again, working on your craft. Again, when you're a musician, there's so much you have to manage with writing, recording, live, travel. Have you been able to find this time being pretty productive? Just kind of, like you said, honing your craft, doing a lot more writing than normal?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing for me, I got to tour. I got to do about 3 or 4 shows. I was opening for Kane and Smith right before quarantine happened. So I got enough of a taste of it to know what I was good at, what I wasn't good at, and what songs worked and didn't. And then everything shut down. So I've had a year to kind of take everything I learned and use it to get better and really hone in on what I want to sound like and what kind of things I want to write about. And I'm really thankful I had that time because I kind of just got through right in the mix, and I would have made it, but it was still like, that was before my record deal. It was still privateer. Like the FGL boys were helping me out, but like we were just going to sell CDs out the back of the truck and like do it ourselves, and hitting the brakes and everything slowing down really helped us. We had a whole extra year to A&R and to get better at singing. I got in a little better shape, and I don't know. I think it was really tough at times, and I know a lot of people really went through it. But there was a lot of good in it for me too. I was able to really figure out myself a little bit, and like I said, I started working out more again, kind of like on the race program, just grinding every day because there wasn't a lot of time before, and now I'm just sitting around, and finally tried to make the most of it.
That's good. I mean, that's what I think everybody's done, right? Is try to find a way to improve in some aspects. So sometimes things work out timing wise, and it sounds like it did for you. But I want to get into your background first. Obviously, the music side is ready to just explode. I'm sure you're ready to just get this thing going again too. But let's go before that.
No doubt.
See the bike in the background. So you got the racing history. Take me through your history as a racer and a rider before we get into the music side of things. Just let's go back to the beginning.
Man, very beginning of dirt bikes. I guess I was about 6 years old, and my dad got me one off Craigslist, brought it home for my birthday. Didn't tell my mama it was coming because she was real against it. He always rode, my uncle rode, but they didn't want us riding. So he showed up with that, and it was kind of game over. And we started going to Supercrosses that next winter or whatever, and just got ate up with it, man. And their rules at first was no jumping though. So we started doing hair scrambles and GNCC racing for a while. And right before I went pro with that, I guess I turned 18. My dad was like, yo, I ain't doing it no more. Love you. But I did all I can. So I always wanted to ride motocross. So I bought a CR250 off Craigslist and rebuilt the whole thing. And I just started riding moto. And that led me to meeting Harold Martin at Moto Playground. And he had this deal for me. He said, I'll send you to Amateur National and pay all your entry fees if you'll write a story about it. And if it goes good, you got a job. So I'm like, all right, let's go. So I went down to Durham Town and Irv Braun, old voice of Supercross, rest in peace. He had this amateur national he was going to host that year, and I went down there and raced it and won in the C class. And I was so jacked about that. And whatever about my story, I don't know, Harold liked something about it. So he gave me a job, and I just started going around taking pictures at the races and writing about it and racing when I could. And man, it's funny how everything was so connected. Like every little piece got me to the next place. And I remember I was supposed to shoot an arena cross, and something happened with the weather. It kind of went south, and I had my bike with me, and I was like, well, whatever, I'm going to race it then. Harold didn't want photos for some reason. So I signed up on amateur day. I rode open A, and it went good. And then I was like, all right, maybe I can do this. So I kind of quit chasing the magazine thing. I started racing Southern All-Star Series and just any little local arena cross I could to make some money and keep doing it, you know. And I just never could quit getting hurt. And you can't make no money riding or keep a sponsor satisfied if you ain't on the track. So kind of funny timing, right when the whole arena cross dream started, I met Tyler Hubbard, a Florida Georgia line. He built a track in my hometown and opened it up to me and let me start practicing there. And people gave him oil, and VP gave him gas and stuff. So he was pretty much sponsoring me, kicking me parts and stuff. And the whole time, though, he's like, man, I talked to Ricky Carmichael. He said, you're going to have to be real damn good to make any money. You should just do songwriting. You should chase your music stuff. And I was like, no, man, I just got into arena cross. I got to chase it. And then I think 2 weeks later, I crashed in the Georgia Dome at that Moto Fest or whatever, and knocked myself out, broke my arm. And then it's like, I don't know, the pride is so dented. You're like, I can't ask for help on the songwriting now because he just offered it to me, and I denied it. So that was kind of it on the moto, but it led into this whole other thing, you know.
Well, there's kind of a bridge there, right? Where the songwriting does come into play. The racing is going on. Where did the songwriting actually start? When was this in the timeline where you started just on your own, like getting that love for music and that artistic, creative side of you?
So my songwriting started, I would say, about a year before I was really like, before I went pro or whatever, you know, before I was trying to do that. And at first it was just kind of a party trick. I'd freestyle or something, you know, and I started doing press releases for some rappers, and they're like, man, if you can write these boring press releases, I know you can write a rap. And I'm like, actually, I can. So I started trying to do rap music and R&B stuff, but I'm just so country, I couldn't hide my accent. And funny thing, you know, I was saying everything's so connected. MotoFest, part of on my list of goals of things to do there was meet Adam Enicknap. Because I was like, I'm going to meet this dude. It's first time arena cross and supercross come together. I'm going to tell Deuce we need to do a song together. So I get done getting my arm wrapped up by the asterisk rig, and as soon as I come out, he's standing there. And I'm just like, well, this is meant to be. So I'm like, yo, I just wadded up, but we need to do some music. I'm going to go home and send you something. And he kind of threw me a bone. He didn't know me at all, you know. And we did a song together. It was probably like 2015. And we started doing shows at races. So I would go race the day before. He would fly in. We would do a show. And he just really kind of helped me get on and get some cred and just make money doing music ultimately. So the two were always like cross for me because I was doing it together. I would ride all day, write songs at night, just keep doing that whole thing, you know. So they've always kind of complimented each other for us. Kind of the same way he does it, you know. You ride, you wrench on them, and then you're sitting there wore out, and you're like, well, let's see what we can cook up. And
it's funny how that works, huh?
It's so crazy, man.
I've talked to Adam about this before too. The creative side of songwriting, it's not 24/7, right? It hits when it hits and it doesn't when it doesn't. And is it that way for you too? Like sometimes, man, you're just feeling it and you can't do wrong. It's just like, where is this coming from? And then sometimes I can't even for me in my music past, there'd be times when I couldn't even write one word in a lyric. I couldn't get a word. And sometimes you could do a whole song in an hour. Was it that way for you too? Or sometimes it just struck?
Man, it's totally that way. I feel like they're gifts from God, honestly. They just hit you. And one thing that's kind of been tough for me writing in Nashville is everything's kind of structured. It's almost 9 to 5-ish. Like you show up at 11, you write a song. By 3, most people are figuring you got a song done. Sometimes it hits at 11, or sometimes you can go there, but sometimes it hits at 11 at night, or sometimes it hits on the off day. And it's kind of funny, man. You just got to chase it. I feel like these ideas are just floating around, and it's funny, sometimes people I write with will have similar ideas at the same time, whether it's stuff we watch on TV or whatever. I don't know where we get them, but I feel like when you hear it, you got to write it immediately. It's like a fish, man. If you don't catch it, that bite's gone, but they're definitely hit or miss, like you were saying, man. I don't know where they come from.
It's crazy. I don't know if you did the same thing, but Adam said he's got notes in his phone. He's got voice memos. Sometimes he'll be driving and he'll hit it. It might not even be a lyric. It might just be a melody for a chorus. And he says his notes and voice memos are crazy. And what he said is that he'll sometimes listen back like a day or two later and be like, oh, delete. Like, what was that? Get it out of there. You got the same thing going on?
Yeah, man. So it's funny you bring that up. My girlfriend, I know it drives her crazy, but sometimes I'll wake up in the middle of my sleep with a melody or with a title, and it'll be 4:30, 5 in the morning, and I'll hit that voice memo and mumble some stuff in there. And the next morning you hear it and you're like, you're halfway gritting your teeth, but you remember somehow. And there's been so many times I was wore out and I was like, no, I'm not singing it. And then you never remember it again. So I always at least try to just get that. To me, it's worth, I don't know, those ideas are hard to come by. So if one hits you, you got to at least like capture as much of it as you can when it happens. So that's a real thing, man. My voice, I think I got 900 voice memos, and half of them I'll never sift through. And there's probably some gold in there. There's plenty of not, but that's a real thing.
I probably had 900 at some point in mine, but I'd say 885 of them been deleted after I heard them back. I went, oh my God, whatever was inspiring you at that moment, don't let that happen again. There's sometimes they gotta go.
I can halfway play guitar, but I'm not like half of these guys in Nashville. So lately I've been coming up with little licks I think are cool, and then I'll go back and listen a couple days later, and I'm like, I ain't showing nobody that. Every now and then one sneaks through, but yeah, quality control's tight on that voice memo now.
Hey, so let's talk a little bit about the racing side of things again before we move on to all the songwriting and the things you're doing now. As a racer, you said you had some injuries. As a racer, was it bad luck? Was it rider error? What was your personality like? Because you come across, you're so mellow, but on a race bike, and you know how the intensity is on a bike. So where did the injuries come from? Was that your approach? Were you a little wild and reckless, or some bad luck? Just kind of take me through that.
Man, I would say it was a combination of the two. A little bad luck, a little reckless. I feel like I got a switch where, like, I don't know, when I'm chilling, but when I'm riding or when I'm on a stage or whatever, it's on. And you can probably relate to that a little bit because you seem pretty laid back too, but it was that kind of thing for me where, like, I was so hungry and so just desperate to prove myself because, like, my mechanic was driving from Pennsylvania, letting me ride his bike that he had built every weekend. And I had a couple little arena cross teams talking about giving me a shot. So, like, any week we could afford to get to the track, it was just like, try to hang it out. And honestly, there wasn't a qualifying that I ever made it through. I never hardly made a clean lap in the 3 or 4 of them I did because it was just bonsai. And there was no arena cross tracks in Tennessee. And I was working construction at the time too to pay for it. So I'm riding backyard tracks or motocross tracks trying to get ready for that. And it was a little bit, I was probably ill prepared for what I was really trying to do, but I was just so hungry and I was just hoping that grit would somehow peel me through to that next level where somebody could help me try to do it right.
Now, when you made the transition out again, you said you met the guys from Florida Georgia Line. You got the offer, hey, get into the songwriting. You were kind of not ready to do that yet. When you did make that final move over, was that hard to kind of end the chapter of the racing dream? I mean, I did. A couple of years back, I was 30 something years old, and to close that book, it's probably like the sickest I've ever been emotionally. I mean, was it hard for you to just say, okay, I'm done with that now, I'm going to move on to something else? Like, how was that closing of the book?
That was a really tough time for me, honestly, Daniel. Like, I had so many chapters closed at that same time. Like, I was engaged to a girl at the time I thought I was going to marry. We broke that off. My whole racing dreams kind of went down, and I mean, it was like everything that I thought was going to be forever stopped at the same time. And it was a pretty dark place. I was pretty desperate. I mean, it got to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm going to sell my bikes. I'm going to take all my savings, move to Nashville, and do it as long as I can. And just pretty much same mentality I had with racing that year. Try to grit it out and hope that I get a deal and can stick around. And if not, go back to construction and maybe try to get another bike or something. You know, I was lost. That was my whole identity, my friends group. I mean, anybody I talked to, almost everybody I hung out with, all I knew was dirt bikes for the longest time. I mean, I was either riding them, racing them, or working around them in some way, you know, and I was pretty lost. But it's pretty crazy what it led me to, though, because I mean, I've got friends better than I've ever had in my life, man. I got friends that are closer than family now, you know what I mean? And it opened a lot of doors. I mean, honestly, that's the first brand new bike I ever had in my whole life. And Kawasaki gave me that thing this year, and they believe in my music. They took me on before I even had a song out. And it's just, I fought it so long, man, and it's crazy. It's kind of like God said, you can have both, but you got to do it my way. You can't do it your way no more. And I fought it so long. I mean, I literally had to lay in that Georgia clay to like wake up and realize that this ain't how you're going to get it. Might be some other way, but it's not going to be this way.
It's crazy, man. I mean, similarities for me. So my TV career started right around the same time that I was finishing my racing. I was racing arena cross in 2015, and I got an opportunity to do arena cross TV. And I really wasn't giving up on the racing all the way. It was like an opportunity was staring me in the face, and I'm like, no, I want to race. And it took me breaking my femur. Well, I had a little bit of other influence. My wife told me if I raced again, she was getting a lawyer. So that came into play too. So
that wakes you up for sure.
Yeah, so that was the end. And then for me, I don't know if it's the same as you, but I looked at the TV as like an opportunity to get another shot. But I was going to take everything I learned from the racing go round, what worked, what didn't, and apply that to myself in this next chapter. And then again, it's taken me a couple of years, but now I'm finding success. But it took learning from that last chapter and the things that went wrong. Is that the same with you now, where you're at? You're able to look back and go, this worked. You know, the drive, the motivation, the grit side, but this didn't work. Let me be a new me now. And then, like you said, it looks like it's working for you the same way it worked for me.
Thanks, buddy. I mean, I would say it's definitely that way. I mean, for a long time, I thought that like desperateness that came with the grit of like, it has to work out was a good thing. And I think sometimes it is, but it kind of eats at you to the point where you can't do what you really need to do. And it just showed me boundaries. It showed me that you got to make sure there's a plan and you got to really be prepared. I mean, I know better than to try to get out and race arena cross, not working out, not riding 4 days a week, 5 days a week, but I still got out there and did it. I wouldn't get out and play a show for an arena if I got the chance, if I hadn't been singing my tail off before it. But I think it took me being on a stage like arena cross and laying there embarrassed and feeling like, why did you even come here, to be able to not do that now and make the most of opportunities I do get and not let them slide by because I was ill prepared.
That makes sense. I mean, big time. I mean, like you said, you learned from the things that didn't work or maybe what needed to be adjusted in the next go round, but the work ethic stays the same. I want to turn this thing now, and I'm going to nerd out so hard because I want to
Yeah,
talk
no
about
doubt,
songwriting. Dude, here we go. So
Let's
again, I
go.
have a music background with my brother. We were in a band, so I got music questions coming. And the first one I
Do you
got,
still write it all? I gotta steal it real quick. Do you still jam it all?
I do. Having some complications with my brother right now in the writing process. We want to write new stuff, but we're not seeing eye to eye on the style because we like different things. So when I get home from Atlanta, I'm probably gonna have to choke him out and force some things on him. So
There's a way to blend it.
Yeah,
Y'all find a way to blend it.
we will. We'll work past it. But so my question for you is, because you have singles now that are coming out, and that's you, but you've done these collabs where you're co-writing and stuff too. And that comes into the line with what I'm dealing with right now. How do you balance the two when you have a chance for it to be you and people are there to support you and your vision, versus when you are having to work with someone and kind of collab and you got to maybe influence a song, but it's not all you? How do you balance that? It's hard. That's hard for me. Very hard.
Man, it's definitely tough, but I think the more flexible you are in a collaborative, like co-writing situation, the better it is. Early on, when I very first started, I kind of thought like, oh, you got to be over vocal. You got to prove yourself. You got to make sure people know you can put words together. And I kind of got in my own way and kind of probably aggravated some of my co-writers early on. And, you know, something that the FGL guys told me was, you got to go in there and you got to be vocal, but you also got to be a sponge. You got to listen to what everybody else says. It might inspire something within you, or you might love what they say if you just hush and listen for a second, you know? So I think it took some learning. Like the first year was definitely tough. And I'm so thankful that so many awesome songwriters in Nashville took a chance on me. But it's really fun now, man. I feel like if you're in there gritting your teeth and like butting heads, you're in the wrong room. You definitely gotta be flexible in there. And honestly, learning that about songwriting's helped me a lot in real life too, because I realize everything ain't got to be my way all the time, because we're all in there for a reason. You know, there's a guy that's really good with words and really good with melodies, and just because I love both, I got to let them do their thing. And it's kind of I think I was always so used to being my own mechanic, being my own everything, being my own source of income, no help, that now like it was hard to let go of that racer mentality for a while. And now I'm realizing like all these people are here to help and just make everything the best we can. But I to kind of answer your question, I feel like I veered off. It's pretty fun collaborating with people and writing songs for them, because I kind of zoom out and I just really listen. And when I write a song for myself, they're all real personal and real true. So I just try to draw that out of whoever we're writing with, and then put my little spin on it, you know, to kind of whatever my things are, you know, I'm there to do my thing, but we're just always trying to elevate whoever it's for that day. We're trying to elevate them to their best level that they can be at. And it's really fun to build people up like that, or write a tough one and see somebody go out of there 10 pounds lighter and smiling when they came in, not at all. I mean, music's healing, dude. It's crazy.
You feel like when you're writing for yourself, there's that added pressure. So you're like way more detailed, because again, you're probably drawing from some experience in life. Every word matters, every syllable matters. There's like this pressure. But when you're co-writing and it's for someone else, you feel like there's a different vibe, as far as you're just injecting creativity and you're just trying to find, you know what I mean? Like the pressure is off because you're just trying to add, where when you do it for yourself, I feel like every word matters so much that it has to be my way. Because is there a little bit of that when you do when the collabs? It's just like, dude, let's just inject some fun stuff in.
100%. And I'm trying to put that into my creative process too, and not be so like, something that has been big for us all the past year is not like, is this song for me? Is this song for you or for whoever? We're just trying to write good songs, and then whichever one of us want to sing it, sings it, you know. But there is something to that freedom of just like, there's not much pressure when it's for somebody else. You're just putting a magnifying glass on them and trying to make them, show them off the best you can. I definitely get in my own way sometimes. There's times where maybe there's a real commercial line that would just really sell the song, and I'm like, no, that ain't what happened. And I get in my own way a lot of times, and sometimes I stay on it, and sometimes I let go, but it's definitely a thing. That's been something I've been working on during quarantine, is just trying to stay out of my own way.
Well, obviously you have talent as a songwriter. That's why you're finding the success. You have that. But when you work with someone like Florida Georgia Line, who has got just hits after hits after hits, what do you learn when you're with them and you're watching them go through the creative process too? Because at one point they were like you, it was talent and it was emerging, but they've been on the top at different times. I mean, for so long now. What do you pick apart from them during the songwriting process and the way they approach it? Because they're just at a different stage and a different part of life than you are.
Man, what I've noticed from writing with them and people like Nelly and other artists I've got to collaborate with is it's just so much about truth and about feeling. It's not ever about like what's the next hit or what's hot right now or what's about to be. It's just like so raw. Like, I remember when I wrote with Nelly, like we wrote this song called Little Bit, and he's jumping around and everything. He's like, how you expect people to move if you ain't moving? Like, a lot of the like details of it all just fall into place, but it's so much more about feeling than anything else. And I used to think like you had to have the words just right first and then the feeling came, but it's kind of opposite. So just watching how these guys really just take their time with it. Sometimes it's done in an hour, sometimes it takes 2 days, like 2 sessions, and just being super flexible and letting the song write itself.
So with Nelly, again, I don't know Nelly. I don't know anything past what I've seen in videos and songs. The guy comes across as like fun.
So
what's he like away from even the studio? Is he a regular guy? Like I only know 100%. Him as like fun. Like,
such a sweet, kind-hearted dude. Like, I guess it's been about a year ago. We had some pretty gnarly tornadoes here in Nashville. And it had been like 6 or 8 months since I had talked to him, like since we wrote. And honestly, I kind of figured I wouldn't hear from him again unless we co-wrote again. And he texted me early that morning, like, hey, bro, you all good? I heard it was gnarly down there. And I was just like, dang, he's a super real-ass, kind-hearted dude. And it was just cool to see the way he loved on me and Tyler and Jordan, all of our co-writers. Man, he was just so kind to everybody and just such a good energy, such a always bobbing, man. It's hard to be down around him. And I don't know, seeing people like him and the FGL boys, and I don't know, guys I look up to or looked up to, whatever, like, all your heroes ain't good dudes always. Sometimes you meet them and you're a little let down, honestly. And none of them are that way. They just make me want to be better and just make me like, okay, make sure you are always humble and kind and just real. Ain't no need to put on. You can't sustain that.
How do you balance the creative side when you said you have an R&B love and appreciation? Obviously, hold on, we're good. You got the country side. Like, I mean, every song's gonna have its own feel and vibe, but you're obviously talking different spectrums of interest. So how do you kind of balance that with your songwriting? Again, I know you want to keep it as natural as possible. At the same time, you want to keep it in sort of a lane of what you're doing. So how do you balance that creativity?
Man, kind of like I was saying, as far as being true, I grew up listening to Metallica and Ozzy Osbourne with my dad. My mom's listening to like Alan Jackson and John Anderson. My sister's listening to Nelly and Backstreet Boys and 3 6 Mafia. So like I grew up hearing every kind of sound. So I feel like just if I write anything but a mashup of that, I'm not being true to myself. But there is a time where it's like, all right, today we're writing one that feels like a 90s country song, turning that switch on. And if you can do a little flowy thing here or there to make it new, that's cool. But like, I try to just really go there. If it's a rock song, like the first one I put out, Read My Last Name, it sounds like some like heavy metal almost. And then there's like a rap flow over it. And then my second song is like a breakup radio jam, and I just love so many different kind of musics that whatever song we're writing that day, I just try to really dive in and feel it as hard as I can, and just let them all be super different.
You think that helps with the end result too? Because if you're writing a rock song and you just go in there with a rock mentality, you might end up sounding like a lot of people. But if you're able to bring in just like some different ingredients, you know, a little bit of the R&B, a little Backstreet Boys, and a little Metallica, just give it a little injection of it. That's what will allow your rock song to not sound like everyone else's rock song. Is that kind of where you got to almost allow that stuff to come in with it?
100%, man. It's kind of just a natural fusion. I know it sounds really funny when you tell somebody, you're like, yeah, I'm gonna write a song that sounds like Nelly and Dwight Yoakam at the same time. They're like, what? But I mean, it's fun to take a Drake beat and write country lyrics, but a super rap R&B melody. It sounds like a rap song, but if you read the words or listen, it's the countryest stuff you ever heard. I mean, to me, that's so fun. And to your point, like, it does keep it pretty easy because we don't ever go in with any expectations. Like, we just let it feel and be what it wants to be. And it might lean a little country, it might lean a little R&B, it might lean a little rock or rap, or, you know, I got some stuff that sounds pretty Warped Tour right now. I feel like that's kind of on its way back, man. People really liking that stuff at jams. But then we just throw an 808 on it and make you turn your head a little bit, you know. But yeah, it's fun just kind of breaking the rules. And I don't know the rules, so I don't really think I'm breaking the rules. Everybody says I'm breaking them. I just say I'm a new guy and don't know them yet. So yeah,
but to your point, when it comes to creativity and being original, if you have rules, you really can't do it. You can't be original if you're following rules. You got to almost break those rules down. You know what I mean? Even like for me, when I heard the song with OZZY and Post Malone, I was just like, you would not think that would even work. And that's just a ripping song. You know what I mean? It's because the rules were broken.
You hear it and you're like, dang, why did somebody not do this? Like, why did Tupac not do that with OZZY and the night? Like, why did somebody not do that a long time ago? Because that was a hit. Yeah. But people just, I think it's taken a while for those lines to be okay being blurred. And I just kind of want to be on the forefront of that. I think guys like FGL and a lot of other bands and all genres are starting to kind of dabble in everything. Genre is kind of starting to not be a thing. And I don't know, it's a little edgy, it's a little scary sometimes, but I've always kind of had that hang it out mentality. Like, I want to lead the pack. I want to hit something first. So, like, I'm kind of jacked to be on this little forefront of guys who's going for it and just doing their own thing, whatever that is.
That's cool. But you talk about being scared. Do you, when it comes time, when it's done and a song is coming out, is there a little bit of like, oh man, like, I hope everyone feels the way I feel about this? Because I always felt that way when a song would come out. I'm like, I love this song and I'm going to be heartbroken if no one does. Is there ever that little right before the release where you're just like, oh boy, here we go?
There is definitely a little fear, man, because I am a country boy and I am rooted in country music and I love it so much. But my stuff's not all going to sound like contemporary classic country. There's going to be plenty of those, but a lot of it's going to be a little different. And I'm really just trying to put more eyes on country. I'm not trying to like switch over and do another genre. I'm just trying to really draw more attention to the stuff I love. But it is scary because every country boy don't like a rap song that has country lyrics, and every rap fan don't like a rap song with country lyrics. I mean, you can't ever please everybody. But I think at the end of the day, if I'm being true to myself, then I think I'm winning, regardless of what the numbers say or whatever. I know I'm writing stuff from a good place, and I know something's going to hit somebody right. So as long as it hits a few people right and they get something good out of it, that's my biggest thing, you know. Trying to let that fear I'm trying to drag it behind me. I ain't trying to push with it. I'm just trying to let it be a thing that's way back here in the back of my mind.
That's good. And because when you knock that wall down, you probably even get more creative when you don't have that fear of what people will think. And that's usually when the best stuff comes. So I got to ask you a country music question here, because I feel like my wife is pretty spot on with this. Like, she loves all the new stuff. She loves Sam Hunt, and Sam Hunt does his own little thing, the talking in the verse, whatever. It sounds R&B-ish at times, but then she's old school country, like as old school as it goes, and she loves both, no issue. But I have friends that can't stand anything modern country. It's destroying country music. They can't take it. And then I got friends, and even more in my vein, where the newer stuff is what I would prefer over the old. So I don't feel the old, so I don't have that connection as much. How do you answer that question for the country music industry that is kind of, you know, changed? And you have people that love it all, but then you do have people that are just can't stand the new stuff, or people who just think the old stuff wasn't cool. Like, how do you talk to fans that are kind of living on the edges of this fandom?
Man, that is a tough one. What I try to, just being totally transparent, you know, these first couple songs that came out, some people love them, some people don't, and all the trolls on the internet got something to say. And some of these people will say, man, this is no good, I'll never listen to you. And I'm like, never say never, because I make a lot of different kinds of music. And one day you might hear this old boy somewhere and say, I like that, who is it? And it might be me, because I write about every side of life, the good, the bad, the ugly, the wins, the losses, over every kind of track. It might, you know, it might be really country, it might not. So what I try to tell to those people is just be a little more open-minded. Don't write something off of your first impression. First impressions say a lot, but the book's way more than the cover at the same time. So, you know, it's been a scary topic. It's been something we think a lot about, as far as what side of you do we show first. And it's, at the end of the day, I just kind of had to let that go and start being true to it and tell everybody, hey, you might not like every song, but I'm going to do enough different kinds that I hope you like one of them.
Yeah, you think it's one of those things too, where maybe people, I would just say generally, it'd be better to judge the song and don't put the genre behind it. Because if you're saying, oh, that's a country song, then you're basing it off of some old thoughts, or maybe, like, you know, that, like, if it branches out of the bubble, well, don't judge it by the bubble, judge it alone as a song. You know what I mean? Because that's what I've done. Because I like everything, and I judge everything based purely on the songwriting, the lyrics, the melody, even if it's a genre that's not on my top 3. So I can appreciate songs that aren't even my style, but go, man, that was well written. Like, even for me, like, my daughter loves this, I forget what the movie is. It's a musical, and I'm like obsessed with all the songs. It's like the Barnum and Bailey Circus. What Zac Efron's in it. I forget what it's called. The Greatest Showman. Greatest Showman. Is that right? Anyways, the songs are all so. I would never listen to that stuff other than the fact that, God, the songwriting is incredible. So I respect it more because I just judge the writing, not the genre. You know what I mean? So is that maybe a way to look at it? Don't judge the bubble. Just judge the song alone and the songwriting.
100%. Like, what I try to push is lyrics are everything to me. I was going to be a songwriter first when I got into this. I thought I was going to put, kind of like the racing, I was going to hit the brakes on my artist career and be a songwriter. So words are everything to me, because I couldn't play instruments and melodies weren't always my friend. Words were all I had to lean on. And I just wish people could listen to your point, listen to the words of a song. You'll realize a lot of big songs, they ain't saying much. There's some really good ones that don't ever get heard that are saying life-changing stuff. And I just hate for somebody to miss something that might hit them hard in the heart, just because it wasn't packaged exactly like they like. Because everything's got some good meat on the bones if you just really look at it.
I agree with you. And one thing you said there about, you know, some songs I've noticed, even like when I like a band I usually like every song on the album more than I like the hit. And it's usually because those ones, they seem a little bit more core to the artist. They're a little bit freer to, you know, say the things they want to say. I feel like the hit is obviously meant to be a little broader, but I always get into an album and I go right past the single, and I like to listen to everything else. I feel like you get to know the artist a little bit better. Is there truth to that?
I think so. And that's something that we're trying to do, is, you know, let our commercial ones still be that true and raw. Like, don't sacrifice realness for that commercial hit factor. And I think that's what's making a lot of songs, right? right now, a lot of stuff that's winning is wrote really good. And, you know, I hope that's what works for us because, you know, we're trying to play that line. I'm always going to be true and gritty. Like I said, I have a hard time letting go of stuff sometimes when it's not exactly how it really happened. But there's a beauty to being able to mix the two. And that's what we're all trying to do right now is just find that fusion of how do you make everybody do this the whole time, but the words are just grabbing them, you know? That's
Yeah.
the mark.
I want to ask you about a funny story because it has to do with lyrics.
Oh yeah, come on. What do you got?
All right. Just tell me about your performance at Loretta Lynn's. I heard there was some lyrical complications. Just tell me the story.
All right. Well, I guess it was 2016 or so. I don't know the year exactly, but I had just stopped working for Moto Playground. I was kind of at the height of my rap thing I was doing at the time, and I reached out to the people at Loretta Lynn's, MX Sports, and I said, "Hey, I would love to do a concert. I got a whole thing. I'll do it for free." And they said, "Well, you know what? We usually just prefer people be a part of the talent show, but we'll let you do a show. You can do it as soon as talent show's over." So there was tornado warning stuff. It was a weird night, so they forgot to mention there was a concert after the talent show. So I'm like about to go on stage, and everybody starts walking out, and I was like, "What?" It kind of like made me turn my head, and then they're, you know, they're like, "Hey, hold on, we got one more thing for y'all." So maybe half the people stayed, but I was kind of aggravated, and our deal was I wouldn't say no cuss words. I would edit my lyrics, and to the point of the rest of our conversation, my truth is my truth, and sometimes a damn might make something hurt a little more or whatever. It might just need to be there. Well, in the middle of my set, I had said one too many. And Tim told my DJ, he said, if he says another one, we're killing the sound. So I said, all right, I won't say no more. And I walked up to the front of the stage and I said, "How are y'all?" with a few extras. "Y'all feeling good?" And I don't know, I hate to say I called their bluff. I kept on singing. I did about 5 more songs. Nobody said nothing. But for a while after that, it was pretty hard to get a pit pass. But I don't know. I thank y'all so much, Tim Cotter. Sorry, brother. I love y'all. I'll make it right as soon as y'all let me. I won't say none at the next show.
So no encore on that one. No.
No, there wasn't no come back and do one more after that. They was like, "Well, we appreciate having you," and that was entertaining to say the least. But it showed me what to do, what not to do. I mean, it takes some of those little knocks to learn, you know. And I was still super thankful. I mean, I hugged his neck afterwards, but I also was like, man, you know, I got to stick to my guns on this. And that's just that country boy in me, I guess, man. I'm just hard headed, and I just try to do right by everybody. And if you're gonna do wrong, and I'm gonna make it right somehow. That ain't always good, but I'm working.
I love it. I love it. I knew that story. I had to get that in there and get you to tell it.
That's pretty funny, man. I'm glad that one's out there. I've kind of been carrying it a while. I thought it'd be funny to tell, so I'm glad you got good intel on that one.
I do. That's you know who maybe told me that.
Yeah, I know who the leak is. It's all love though.
I love it. Hey, so 2 more questions for you. One Supercross related. Who's your favorite rider? I mean, like you said, when it comes to music, everyone has their favorite artist. Maybe it's a bunch of them, maybe it's one. But from the other side now, you as a fan of Supercross, like who's your guy? Who do you watch and you're just like, I want that dude to get it?
Man, I was gonna say, are you talking 90s, 2000s, currently? Man, right now, I really love seeing Cooper Webb win. When I was working at Moto Playground, he was always one of the kindest dudes. He would do every interview, every time, never said no, even when he should have. Good race, bad race. He was a champ for me, dude. So to see him doing what he's doing right now is cool. I mean, I love all these dudes and for their own reasons. I love Barsha because he hangs it out and it reminds me of what I wish I was. And, you know, I love Tomac because it's controlled chaos. I love Kenny's grit. I mess with them all, man, but I love seeing Coop win. And I love seeing Nate Thrasher win too.
Dude,
Shout
how
out
about
Tennessee
that?
boy. He was
What do you,
always real cool too. He was younger when I interviewed him, but he was always just humble, man. He just wanted it, and I love that.
dude, what do you think about that? I mean, I said it on the broadcast last night, like, dude, his best finish was a ninth. That's a huge leap. I mean, these rookie kids, man, when they get up there, they sand it, and he just looked like a vet last night. And obviously, this might air at different times. So for all you wondering, like, Nate just won last night, but
yeah,
the crowd loved him too, because he said that was like a local race for him. You guys aren't far from here, so I mean, were you stoked?
I was jacked, man, because like when I was racing, like when I first started doing my little regional pro stuff, he was ripping 85s about as fast as I was probably. And I don't know, man. I think his little Tennessee background, being used to riding in that mud and ruts, I didn't ever see him. He wasn't bucking around much. He looked confident, and I think that's just a note to everybody else. Ride a little more than hard pack. Ride a little more than perfect loam. I mean, I think his upbringing, riding a little bit less than perfect stuff down here in the Southeast, definitely helped him out.
Yeah, I think so too, because that track changed throughout the day multiple times, and he was fast at different times. It's just, man,
it was drier, it was wetter. He figured it out every time, and that's kind of a product of here because it gets baked in the summer, but sometimes it pours rain, you know. So
you don't got a choice. You got to ride a little bit of everything, and that helps sometimes on race day. So it definitely did. Blake, last question for you. This one might be hard because I who knows, you know, especially with the way your life has turned out with the different things you've liked at different times and where it's going now. But 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, like, is there anything that you're chasing specifically that you want, or is it more day by day kind of, you know, I know you're driven, but when you're driven, usually you're driven towards something. Is there something that specifically that you want to accomplish, that you want to get to in life, or are you in the moment and just bring it on?
Man, that's such a great question. I would say to me, I kind of have buckets. I've got right now list. I've got year from now list. I've got 5 year from now list, and they're pretty broad. You know, some things like qualify for Loretta Lynn's and go have a good time down there with Callie one year. And you know, there's some things like play a stadium show or whatever. A lot of my stuff ain't real numbers driven no more. I think being that way in racing so long, like, beat me up pretty bad because if you're not first, like, it's tough to be second or anything less. And I just want to make a difference, man. You know, words are my everything. So I just really want to say stuff that counts. I want to make sure that I help somebody through a hard time and I give somebody something to party through and everything in between, because my mom always said it, you got to give back to stuff you take from. And I took a lot from motocross. I took a lot from music. I think they both kept me alive. I think they both gave me purpose and gave me things to work on and, you know, gave me reasons to stay healthy and sane and a good person. And so that's really my big goal right now is just, I mean, to be doing an interview with you on here is kind of a dream come true. And I hope something I said inspires somebody to chase a crazy dream or to realize stuff can get better than how it was. I mean, I don't know. It's just all so related that I don't know. Long story short, I just want to make a difference. It's a lot less numbers driven and a lot less just, I want to leave a little mark somewhere on something that I took from.
The best part of that is, again, with words being your gift, you can make a difference because the things you say and the way you say them do affect people. You're in the industry now where what you create does affect people. So I think you found your place to accomplish that. No doubt.
Well, thanks, buddy. I sure hope so. You know, I always tried to do that in a way when I was racing, whether it was help somebody out or, you know, whatever, partner together and travel together. But I realize I can do a lot more now for people. And I don't know, that's my biggest reason I hope these songs get heard, because some of them I needed when I was going through the stuff I was writing about. And I'm real thankful to have this platform, man, because it's kind of unbelievable, really. Boy, from where I'm from, man, little town, you don't think a lot of this stuff's even possible or know some of it exists. So pretty.
That's awesome. Well, man, thanks for coming on Beyond the Track. Hope I didn't nerd out too hard on you. It was a good conversation.
Hopefully we can stay in touch after this, bro. I feel like, I don't know, we got so much in common. I want to ask you a bunch of questions now too. So, we might have to do version 2 off the record here soon.
Let's do it, dude. Let's connect, man. Thanks again for coming on Beyond the Track, and I have a feeling we're going to talk soon.
Come on. Thanks for having me, Daniel. See you, buddy.